Hello, everybody. My name is Felicita Sackman, as you know, and these are my panelists. We have Mark, which you've already met. We have Felisa from Einhorn. Say hello. Hello. We have Constanze right over here, Johannes, and Sebastian. Now that you know all of us, we kind of need to know a little bit about you. Who here has heard of the term new work yet? Raise your hand. I can't see anything. Can you clap? That sounds like more people than gave me an applause, but that's all right. Who of you has heard of unlimited vacation days? Clap. And who would like unlimited vacation days? You're on the right panel. All right, let's begin. Constanze, just to get started and have everybody on the same page, could you explain us briefly what the term exactly means, if it's more than just vacation days or not?
Yeah, good question. New work is not about unlimited vacation days. It's not about a kicker. It's not about any kind of measure. It's really about a new mindset. So it's a new way of working. It's a new way of working together. When I'm doing speeches, I'm always giving this small example, you know. You can build pyramids and build great results with slaves, you know. This is kind of the old work. You can also achieve great results with people who come together for a reason and who are there because they believe in the same things. And this is what we see in new work. We have a shift of power in the market, in the labor market, so people come to work voluntarily, on a voluntary basis. And this is what we call new work. They are there because they decide to be there, and this means we work on an eye-to-eye basis, and this is more mindset than any kind of measure.
Thank you very much. Most of you have probably already heard the talk of Mark. Mark, your topic is not so much about sitting together, but more working independently from all over the place. Can you briefly tell us the biggest plus and the biggest minus of that movement?
Right. I mean, the biggest plus is that you can use the world as your office, so it gives you the freedom to travel or stay home or go to places where you are most productive and at your best. And the biggest con is loneliness, because you know, human beings, they need to be connected with each other. That's why you see those co-living spaces popping up and those remote working programs to make sure people stay engaged and connected. And yeah, those are like the two biggest ups and downs. Yeah.
All right. Elisa, are you in the office more often, or are you mostly gone somewhere else?
Oh, it depends on the month, and yeah. In the winter, I'm more in the office than in the summer, that I can say. But it also depends on the project. So if I need to be there or talk to colleagues, I'm in the office. But
because what you have to know about Elisa, she is the one probably in the entire room that has unlimited vacation days.
And I'm still here today, not on vacation.
She's still here. Can you tell us a little bit about how that is going, how you're still at work, though you could just be gone?
Yeah, so for us, new work, as you also said, is not about just unlimited vacation or transparent salaries or table tennis in the office, but it's really the concept of working on eye level together and working together on like the bigger picture. So I would say that all in our company are there because we want to achieve that it's successful. So, implementing unlimited vacation was an easy hack and was really, from all the new work stuff we did, was probably one of the easiest, and to be honest, it never caused any problems. We have other new work topics which are much more difficult, so like really organize, like how should we organize without a boss or something like that. So this is a little bit more difficult, but unlimited vacation was very easy.
All right, thank you. Sebastian, you are living half-time in Hamburg and half-time in the other sunny city, San Francisco. Your 3-year-old startup has 25 employees, is that correct? And you're working, as I said, from both sides of the world, pretty much. And as we all know, the Valley is always a little faster than maybe even Berlin, not only in airports. You told me that they've already tried similar ideas, like transparent salary or unlimited vacation days, and that some of them have stepped back from that idea. Can you give us a little insight on why that was?
Sure. So I think one thing that comes up all the time is like the motivation working for a company. We heard that in the definition. We heard that with Einhorn, like understanding the mission, understanding the vision, and then really acting on it is something that is fundamental. I think some companies learn that this is not attached actually to the freedom that you give, but rather than to the guidance that you give to your employees to understand what you're after. And so I know that some large companies, I mean really huge venture-funded companies, tried out unlimited holidays, and they got into trouble with definition and mutual understanding in the organizational structures. When we talk about 400, 500 employees, and those are still large startups in the US, with a fast-paced work environment, you get problems with the definition of not being in the office, being on holiday, being at a customer, being at a place where you just cannot currently share where you are, because this creates this takes away headspace of other employees because they start to thinking about what you are doing in terms of fundraising and other activities. So you add a lot of complexity, and if you have fast-paced environments and you add that much complexity in terms of mental overheads, this leads to efficiency losses, and they can be large actually, and they can be also be frustrating to employees, even though you would want to support them with that. And I think those kind of learnings are partly learnings why they step back a little bit and say, well, you know, maybe that's not the measure that we want to employ here.
You just let them work remotely, that's the solution.
Yeah, remotely is one thing.
Yeah.
I think if you're in the Valley, remotely means sometimes even that you're in Palo Alto and the other one is in Mountain View or is in San Francisco.
Right.
Because you travel for 1.5 hours just to be there. People are much more flexible, but I have to admit, I would say they are also much more rigid in terms of KPIs and measurability. So when we think about German labor laws, for example, and remote workforce, we are trying to merge an old economy with a new economy, whereas in the US we see much more rigid labor laws, much more pressure on the employee, and therefore also other flexibility. So I think getting the subset of tools and missions and structures in an organization right is something where they are a little bit ahead and also have a more flexible structure.
All right. Johannes, you're working for Axel Springer. I'm not going to call that a startup because it would be a very large lie. However, you still have to work on ideas how to get new talents on board or how to keep them. What kind of idea do you have? Would you say, let's try very transparent salaries or like unlimited vacation days or whatever? Like, what kind of ideas are you following to keep it going?
Yeah. I'm afraid it's not going to be too controversial in this group because I agree to so many things that were already said, and there isn't that one answer for Axel Springer as a group, as the whole company is a very heterogeneous group with 16,000 employees working for 240 different companies and brands. So there are very different ways of working. But overall, what we're trying to do and what all the things are focusing, and I think that were the things that you were stressing, is combining the individual and what the individual is looking for, and at the same time, the team success and the business success. And I think that's the one thing I would love to stress when we're talking about new work. At least that's what I always do when I talk to managers at Axel Springer. New work is not about Bällebad or about all this stuff that you see sometimes on pictures. It's about, when we're talking about the individual, giving them purpose, belonging, and the feeling of self-effectiveness. And if you bring these three things together, then a lot of energy is leveled by the employee. And this leads to business success. So that's the starting point. And then what we do is working on the subject of new work in the middle of technology, architecture, and then what you said, culture. It's a question of all three, to think about how our office is laid out. Do we need an office? What is the reason for coming to the office? probably the question of belonging, but then also technology and overall, especially culture.
I think this is a very important point because both sides kind of get it wrong, the new work concept. So if we're talking to older companies, corporates, they're coming to us and they're dealing with vacation days, for example, as a measure. They think they introduce those unlimited vacation days and they are cool afterwards, you know? So they think it's a measure to become cool, but to be true, actually unlimited vacation days is a result of new work, of a new mindset, of trusting each other. And the other side of the coin, so like the candidates, the people who are working in a company just right now, and we see it a lot, they are joining companies because they are known for new work, but what they buy is just the freedom. What they buy is just the incentives, and with freedom, there comes responsibility. And if you are buying freedom, you're buying responsibility, and it's not only about Bällebad and unlimited vacation days, it's really about a deal that you're doing. You're getting freedom, and you're taking responsibility.
What's Bällebad? I have no idea.
It's like a pool full of little balls. You can jump in.
Oh yeah.
The one from IKEA.
Is that a perk then, or?
Yeah, that's
In German?
I think
what
it's
I
a thing, and I
Yeah.
I didn't come up with the translation of it. But
Okay.
confronted with new work, sometimes skeptical people say, "Oh, it's all that Bällebad,"
Okay.
and that's not the thing, as you stressed.
Yeah.
I think that was like an interesting Superman quote that you somehow tweaked in terms of great responsibility brings also, freedom brings also great responsibility. One problem that I have sometimes is that, you know, people are happy to take perks, but sometimes they're not willing to take over the responsibility. I'm generalizing this, but I think when we talk about new work, we really have to be sure that we are talking about a share of society and not about total society where we can implement this. And